Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Enricher Business Circle, where we focus on the four pillars of life for entrepreneurs: business strategies, mindset, self care, and faith. On today, we're super excited to have our guest, Mark Weithorn, who has a very good background in tech, something that I love. And we're going to allow Mark to introduce himself and tell us a little bit more about himself.
Great, thank you for having me. This sounds like a lot of fun. So I own a tech company, DPI Showcase Websites. We've been creating websites for real estate agents and brokers around the country and Canada for 21 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a long time. And basically, my forte is I am a marketing person. That's what I do.
Mhm.
I graduated from the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City and a degree in commercial photography and marketing.
Okay.
And then I've evolved during the years. I started as a commercial photographer. I did a lot of slideshows and corporate work, and I traveled all over the world taking pictures. But then technology changed, and there were these video cameras. So being a skinny guy, these video cameras were 30, 40 pounds. I couldn't hold those. So they had those big guys carry them. So I went open an ad agency, and we were doing retail advertising, radio commercials, newspaper ads, and then we started going into product development. And then as things changed, I opened a digital printing company, and I was doing a lot of work with realtors, printing business cards and postcards. And then one day I was at a trade show, and this young guy walks up to me and he goes, "I have this website tool for realtors. You want to help me market it?" So I looked at my salesman, Al. I said, "Al, mind the booth." And I walked over to a table with this guy, and we sat down and we worked out an arrangement. And 21 years later, Shazam, here I am.
So your target market is more so for realtors.
Correct. Real estate industry is a very easy market to go after.
Mhm.
They're very organized. You have the National Association of Realtors, and then you have state boards and then local real estate boards. So we're able to tap into all those local boards and you know create websites for realtors that are linked to the MLS, so all the listings show up. And
Mhm.
plus, it has a lot of other tools, uh, like a client management system. And we just launched an AI tool called Leads AI, which helps them get listings. So we have a whole lot of stuff just dedicated to realtors.
Okay, I think that's great. I actually work with a couple of realtors myself on developing their websites, and that MLS. At first, it used to be challenging with embedding it onto a site, but as time went on, they started making sure the UX was better, so it can actually convert over to a realtor site. Because previously, it was hard to actually bring it over to another person's site without it being clunky or not actually fitting the site well because of how they designed the platform themselves.
Yeah, that's the hardest part of the whole system. We started doing this before they had the feeds. It's called an IDX feed,
Hmm.
and so realtors would have to go in and manually put in their listings, and they weren't doing that, but they needed a website just to have an online presence. And then they got the IDX feed, and actually it was called a RETS feed before it was an IDX feed, and they started giving it to us without documentation. And we were trying to figure it out, and there was very little tech support, but we managed. And then they modernized it. It's now called an IDX feed, and we have about 130 of these feeds across the United States and Canada. It's
Mm.
been growing.
So let's talk about like the foundationing and framing of what you do, because I know like over time the real estate marketing landscape has changed some. It's not all the same where it's just flyers and word of mouth. So, what are some things that you have noticed that kind of has changed about real estate, or and what things do you think kind of stayed the same when it comes to marketing?
So, what stayed the same is that it is a relationship business.
Hmm.
You have to have a relationship with your client. They have to be your good friend. So, for example, I teach marketing classes to realtors. I've been doing that for 27 years. I've taught like 40,000 people. And one of my favorite classes is surviving the first 6 months as a realtor.
Hmm.
And as all the new ones, they just got out, they got their license, and they're totally lost. And one of the questions I ask them is, if it's someone's birthday, what do you do? And I'll send them a text message, send them a card. And I'm like, no, pick up the phone and call them. You should have their information in your CRM, your client management system, with their name, their spouse's name, the kids, the pets, everything. Pick up the phone and call them, reconnect. It's a perfect time. So it's really the what hasn't changed is the relationships. Now, what has changed is technology.
Mm. Yeah.
Technology has gotten harder, and most realtors are not tech people. They
Hmm.
basically they like to talk to people. They like to show houses and work the deals and get it closed, but they don't want to worry about tech. So what we do is we try and automate as many of the functions on their websites as possible so they don't have to worry about it. For example, we came up with this little thing that we thought was just a little throwaway. Someone said, hey, we have this interface that we can use.
Hmm.
And it turned out to be the biggest thing. So it was crazy. We, um, we put a blog article on every realtor's website every day. So now they're blogging without lifting a finger. And then we post these blog articles on their Facebook and LinkedIn pages every day with a link back to their website.
Hmm.
Now they're doing social media without lifting a finger. And then we take the previous week's blog articles and turn it into an e-newsletter email and send it out to all the clients in their CRM. So now they're communicating with all their clients without lifting a finger. So our job is to automate as much as possible so they can just concentrate on doing what they do best, which is selling.
Awesome. I love that. I do something similar in my company because we help them to develop digital ecosystems. So we automate a lot of the processes from the front end, whether it may be forms, surveys, calculators that they may have on the site, and put them into like a system of the emails and the newsletters, the blog posts, and the social media campaigns. But we also leverage reputation management for them as well, where if they had a client that was happy with the sale, we send them a link so the client can actually do a review and recommend the realtor as well. So we have those things on automation.
That's so important. That's great that you do it for them because most people either don't have the know how or just don't have the time. We're all busy.
Yeah, I think that that's imperative of knowing what's in your bandwidth and what's not in your bandwidth, and then if it's not in your bandwidth, outsourcing it so that it can still be done, so you can be efficient and effective as a realtor or as whatever professional service that you're providing. Um, so with all the tech and the platforms, what do you think is the core outside of relationship that you try to make sure that every realtor understands?
So the thing is, you need to stay in touch with your client base. As a realtor, all you own is your client base. You don't own the properties you're selling. You typically don't own the brokerage unless you're the broker. So it's all about you and your clients, and you have to stay in touch with them on a regular basis. And that's what we try and do is assist them in doing that. For example, the other day we just sent out, I don't know, over 1 million it's time to move your clock, emails. And these things are important, or holiday emails.
Hmm.
And so we do that just to help them stay in touch. And now what we're trying to do, or what we are doing, is we're creating AI tools in order to take it to another dimension, in order to help them generate leads.
And
The
I think that's great because AI is definitely something that's going to stay. And those who try to do without it or avoid it will be left behind based off of some of the skills and things that are in place when it comes to AI.
Yeah, I was at a Google conference last week. There was one here in Miami where I'm located. I always go to their big conference in Las Vegas every April. 30, me and 35,000 of my closest friends, and they are introducing productivity tools, is what it is.
Hmm.
So if you had to do a report, if you worked in a corporation, you had to do a report. Instead of it taking you a day, it would take you an hour. So that's what it's doing. It's creating efficiencies. And the people that know how to use it and are embracing it are doing well. I mean, I speak to a lot of people. They say that they don't use Google anymore. They use ChatGPT instead of Google
Yeah,
because
and a lot of people are doing that, but Google just officially released their AI. So I don't know. They may be giving ChatGPT a run for their money.
I wouldn't put Google, don't count Google out. They're
Right.
they're they're a good company.
They are. I love them. I said the only downside to me about Google is the support. When you're trying to resolve issues, their tech support is super slow when it comes to that. But outside of the tech support, their products are amazing.
Yeah, and what they do, a lot of the products that they give away for free
Hmm.
has really changed our lives, like the Google Maps, things like that. That we just, we take it for granted. So yeah, they're a good company.
Yeah. So if we go into like the mechanism behind online buying, when it comes to realtors or finding buyers on the internet, going beyond the website, what do you think is the most underutilized thing that could be very effective for realtors if they actually embrace it so that they can convert traffic?
So social media is really important. And I teach a class on that. It's called the 15-minute social media workout, which is, yeah, it's basically a 15-minute a day routine because once again, people don't have time. But social media is so important. You need to connect with people, and then you never know who's going to see your post and stuff. I tell them if you get a listing, walk around the house or the condo and do a series of 15-second videos. Like
Hmm.
do a 15-second video of the kitchen, and then of the primary bedroom and the primary bathroom and the view, and then post one of those a day as a reel on Instagram and throw in some hashtags, and you never know who you're going to meet or what you're going to see. Go on LinkedIn, make friends. LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn because it's full of business people who have jobs and money and credit. Facebook is really important because people are always on it. The numbers are amazing. How many billions of people are on Facebook? So it's just getting into a routine of doing social media,
Hmm.
and that gets your name out there.
It does. And when you're telling them to put their content on social media, are you recommending that they're scheduling the content out with a purpose or just putting the content out?
So they can schedule it with a purpose if they're doing, for example, an open house or something like that.
Hmm.
But other than that, just put it out there. Yeah, I teach people how to use hashtags. It's really not that complicated. So you put in some hashtags, or you could tag some people, and then what happens is you start gaining influence. People notice you, and then do some personal things.
Mhm.
I tell realtors, when you're sitting there watching TV at night, you can go on Facebook on your phone and scroll through your personal timeline and just comment. Don't like. Like is lazy. Just it is, comment. If you see a new baby, oh, congratulations. A bride,
Mhm.
oh, how beautiful. If someone dies, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. Just comment. People love that. And then put some personal stuff on there. If you have a hobby, if you're into baking, fishing, knitting, put some personal stuff on there. One of my sisters, she loves to bake cakes, and she puts it on a lazy Susan, does a little video, rotates it around, and puts it on Facebook. Everyone loves it.
Oh wow. So and I think that's essential, especially if you're using LinkedIn as a business owner, because the commenting system on LinkedIn is what helps you to build your engagement and your impressions. And a lot of people, they'll go on LinkedIn and they'll like, but they don't engage a post, but then they're wondering why they're not getting any engagement or connections the right way. But I do want to transition to talking about something that I saw about you with the term farming for listings. It definitely sounds like a classic, a classic. But what I guess my question would be is how has this strategy evolved?
So technology has really allowed us to really hone in like a laser beam
Okay.
to which homes you want to sell to. There are these tools out there that allow you to download property tax roll data. So, for example, you plug in a zip code or you
Hmm.
draw a polygon on the map, and then you'll have the owner's name, the owner's address, the property address. Sometimes it's different because sometimes it's an investment property. So, the owner is living in Texas or France or something like that. And what you can do is you can then do mailings to these people. What I tell people to do is I sort it by the last sale date. So you look at people who've been owning the property more than 15 years, and now you can just do mailings to select houses. You're not mailing to every single house
Okay.
because someone who moved in there 2 years ago, they're not selling their house. You're wasting
Right.
your time. And then I teach realtors about door knocking. Go knock on doors. If someone's been living there 20, 30 years, it's owner occupied, especially seniors. Seniors are predictable. They run out all morning, they do their errands, they're usually home for lunch, unless they have lunch with friends. And then after lunch, they're home for the night. That's it. You knock on their door at like 3 in the afternoon, and they'll turn off Judge Judy and they'll talk to you for a little bit. Get to know your neighbors. It works.
Hmm. And I think that's something that a lot of people have kind of stopped leveraging is knowing who's in your surroundings, especially where you stay. Because people will, I remember growing up, if someone moved into the neighborhood, we always gave them like a housewarming gift or we went over to say hello and introduce ourselves. But now it's like this person can move out. You don't know this person to moved out, someone else to move in. You got a whole new neighbor. And it's just the times are very different. People don't care to build that relationship and to look out for each other in different communities.
I agree with you. I have two trees. I've got this huge mango tree, and then I've got an avocado tree with these massive avocados. They're huge and they taste like butter. It's amazing. The challenge with mangoes is you'll have 100, 200 pieces of fruit that all ripen within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we make jam, we make salsa, We cook with it, we eat some, and then I go and knock on neighbors' doors and say, "Hey, have some mangoes." Uh, One neighbor, new neighbor, just bought a house across the street, and it was avocado time. And normally you pick avocados slowly because they don't ripen on the tree, but the squirrels, once they get a hold of it, you got to rip them all off the tree. So I went over to this new neighbor and I said, "Here, you want an avocado?" And then he comes knocking on my door like 2 days later. He goes, "Do you have another one?"
Uh, but that was a great opportunity to build even more relationship.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I like that because that kind of provides practical application and tactics that people can actually use to build their following and build connections with community. And what I would like to ask about that is, if it's their very first time marketing as a new realtor, what is the first action that you would tell them to do to kind of move the needle?
Sure. So we do an exercise in my Surviving the First 6 Months class.
Mhm.
I tell everyone, all right, take out your cell phones. And they're looking at me strange. What's he talking about? I said, take out your cell phones. Open, open the contacts and scroll all the way to the bottom and tell me how many contacts you have there.
Mm,
Some have 400, some have 900. One person had 7,000 contacts. He was in business, and for whatever reason, he transitioned to becoming a realtor. I said, start working those people. The National Association of Realtors states that 15% of the people in your phone are going to move in the next year. Talk to them. Alert them that you're a realtor. Send them your website address. So make sure that they befriend or like your business page on social media, or Facebook or LinkedIn. Make them understand that you're taking this new career seriously.
mhm,
There are some people who become realtors who, they don't take it seriously. They get their license and then they realize, wow, this is hard work. This is a business. And then they fall by the wayside. And then there's others who, they work hard. They roll up their sleeves. They work 80 hours a week, and they make a nice living and they're in business for themselves. So start working people you know.
and in doing, while they're working, the people that they know, are there like key metrics that they should pay attention to when they're tracking things, or should they be tracking anything?
So they need to enter them into their client management system and take notes. It's easy. You could do it while you're on the phone with them. And then you set up reminders and things like that. And then you have to ask for referrals.
Mm,
The only way to get referrals is to ask for it. I mean, you have to do a good job, and we're taking that for granted. Everyone's going to do a good job. But you have to ask, hey, listen, if you have any friends, please, send them my way. And you'll get 2/3 of your business from either repeat business or referrals. It's huge. You just can't be bashful. You have to go for it.
yeah, and I totally agree with you on that, because I would definitely say at least 2/3, if not more, of my business is based off of referrals, and it has basically helped us from not having to do any ads over the past 11 years because of the referrals. But I have a little thing that I do, that every time I do a service for a client, one, I thank them for allowing me to be able to do that service, and then I ask for like a client review. And then maybe 2 weeks later, I'd be like, hey, are things still going well with the service that we provided, and follow up with them. And from there, I ask them, is there anyone that you kind of encountered recently that you would possibly refer to us?
The follow up is so important.
Mm-hmm.
I tell realtors, let's say you do a rental, especially the new ones. put it in your phone to call them 2 months later and say, hey, I'm just checking in on you, making sure everything's okay, the apartment's okay, they're treating you all right.
Mhm.
And by the way, if you have any friends, send them my way. Follow up, follow up, and follow up.
Now, in doing the follow-up, I know you say do reminders or and make sure you're using your client management system. So, is there any type of tech or tools that you would actually recommend that realtors have?
So, your client management system is very important because you need to put clients in there and then set alerts in order to remind you to call them.
Mhm.
Your cell phone has a calendar in it. You need to use that. So this way you can set up reminders there. This way, when you're out on the street and you don't have time, you can, while you're driving, you could call someone. So you just have to be very organized and keep track of your clients.
I love it. And in looking forward, when it comes to everything that's going on, that's emerging with the new technologies that are available now, and different platforms that are being launched, what is something that you are excited about that could basically help realtors stay ahead of the curve?
So our AI tools are exciting. We launched our first one, Leads AI,
Mhm.
in April, and it's been going well. People are signing up. There's two sides to the real estate business. You have buyers and sellers.
Mhm.
And there's an old saying in the industry: buyers are liars, listings last. You know, because you get a buyer, and yeah, 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 and then they get busy and they forget you and they change their mind. Whereas if you have a seller and you get a listing, you're under contract. So if it does sell, you're locked in. So what the big companies do is they sell buyer leads to realtors. And basically those are just difficult leads to work. What we're doing is the other side of the coin, which is we're going after sellers,
Okay.
people that our AI technology has identified that we think are primed to move. And then we provide them with their name, phone number, email address, and property address. And then we also put the information into their CRM so it starts automatically emailing the potential seller
Mm.
introductory emails and other things like that. So we're going after the more lucrative sellers when we're using our AI technology.
Awesome. I think that you gave a lot of key takeaways, especially for those who are just getting started as realtors. Because I know that some people be like, oh, right now is not a good time to get in real estate. Then others be like, right now is an awesome time to get into real estate. But I think that regardless of where you are on the coin, that the tips that you shared on today were great tips that can be very beneficial to those who are on the fence, that will kind of lead and guide them to be like, okay, I know what I need to do, whether or not this will be too much work for me or whether or not I have the bandwidth to actually do it. So, Mark, definitely thank you. And we definitely appreciate you for parting your wisdom on today and teaching us about all the things that you've learned over the past 25 years when it relates to real estate. So if there is any parting wisdom or some kind of takeaway that you would want them to know, what would that be?
Don't be afraid. Don't be
Mhm.
afraid of talking to people that you don't know. Don't be afraid of answering the phone if it's a number you don't recognize.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid of trying something new. If you work in a neighborhood and that neighborhood's kind of dried up, don't be afraid of going to a new one.
Mhm.
And then don't be afraid of technology. There are simple ways to use technology that you can embrace, and it'll help you earn, get new clients and earn money.
Awesome. So, Mark, for all of our listeners who may be realtors or who just are business owners looking to up their game, how could they find you to learn about your master classes or to even learn about your DPI showcase?
Sure. So if you go to my website, dpishowcase.com,
Hmm.
dpishowcase.com, and basically you can see what we do. There's samples there, live website samples. On the bottom of the homepage is a link to my YouTube channel, which has dozens of training videos and then recordings of all my classes. And then in the menu bar is a page called Classes, which has my calendar of all my upcoming marketing classes for realtors. And there's a Zoom link, it's all free. And you can sit, most of the classes are about an hour. And you could sit in on a class and, get some tips on how to drum up business. So dpishowcase.com.
Awesome, and thank you so much. I think this will definitely be some good notes that people will be taking from this episode, and definitely looking and reviewing your marketing classes as well. And if you are a realtor or a business owner who needs to hear this, please make sure that you take the notes, you digest this and see where it fits you on your business journey. And if you know someone who you think will benefit this episode, please make sure you also share it and like it so that they can have this valuable access as well. And thank you all for listening on today. Make sure you continue to lead, learn, and love.